I was wrong. My brother Tommy wasn't calling to check on me after Mom's funeral. He was calling because he needed my signature. The voicemail came through while I was still at the cemetery, watching them lower her casket into the ground. "Hey, sis, sorry I couldn't make it to the service. Work emergency. But listen, the lawyer needs us to sign some paperwork for Mom's estate. Nothing major. I'll swing by tomorrow with the documents, okay? Love you." Work emergency. That's what he'd called it. My little brother, who I'd raised after Dad left, who I'd put through community college, who I'd lent my car to for 3 years while he got on his feet, couldn't make it to our mother's funeral because of a work emergency. I should have known then. I should have seen it coming. But I was 58 years old, exhausted from pulling double shifts at County General to pay for Mom's hospice care and drowning in grief. I wasn't thinking clearly. The next morning, Tommy showed up at my apartment with a folder of papers and that boyish smile that had gotten him out of trouble his whole life. He was 52 now, but still had that look, that "I'm sorry, I messed up, but you love me anyway" look. "I'm really sorry about yesterday," he said, pulling me into a hug that smelled like expensive cologne. New cologne. The boss called right as I was heading out. You know how it is. I didn't know how it was. I'd been a nurse for 34 years, and I'd never missed a family funeral for work. But I nodded. I always nodded with Tommy. "It's okay," I told him, even though it wasn't. "Come in." He spread the papers across my kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped him with his homework 20 years ago, where I'd co-signed his first car loan, where I'd lent him $5,000 for his business venture that never materialized. "So this is just standard estate stuff," he explained, flipping through the documents. "Sign here, here, and here. The lawyer said it's just to authorize the transfer of Mom's assets. Nothing fancy. She didn't have much anyway, right?" She didn't have much. That part was true. After Dad left when I was 18 and Tommy was 12, Mom had worked as a school cafeteria worker for 30 years. She'd saved what she could. The house in Riverside had been paid off for a decade. It wasn't worth much. Maybe $380,000 in today's market, but it was something. It was supposed to be split 50-50 between Tommy and me. Mom had been very clear about that. "Wait," I said, pulling one of the documents closer. "This says transfer of deed. Why would we need to transfer the deed? Aren't we selling the house and splitting it?" Tommy laughed. Not his real laugh, his uncomfortable laugh. "Oh, that's just legal jargon, sis. You know how lawyers are. They make everything sound complicated. It's just saying we're authorized to handle the sale. Sign at the bottom." I picked up the pen. My hand hovered over the signature line. "Did you read all of this?" I asked. "Yeah, of course. The lawyer walked me through everything yesterday. It's standard. Something felt off. Maybe it was the way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. Maybe it was the way he kept checking his phone. Maybe it was just that I was too tired to trust anyone anymore. Even my own brother. "I think I want to read it first," I said. His smile tightened. Sure. But the lawyer needs it back by end of day. There are tax implications if we don't file within 30 days of Mom's death. We're already at day 28. I'll read it tonight and bring it to the lawyer's office tomorrow myself. The lawyer's in San Diego. I was going to handle it for you, save you the drive. I don't mind the drive." We stared at each other across the kitchen table. The same table where I'd taught him to read, where I'd made him breakfast before school when Mom had to leave for the early shift, where I'd helped him fill out college applications. "You don't trust me," he said quietly. I didn't say that. "You're thinking it." He stood up, snatching the papers back into the folder. "Fine. Read them. Take your time. But don't blame me when we lose the house to estate taxes because you wanted to play detective." He left. The apartment felt colder without him there, even though it was July and the AC was barely working. I sat down with the papers that night after my shift. It was 11 p.m. My feet ached. My eyes burned. I'd lost 3 patients that month, and Mom made 4. I was running on fumes and coffee and the desperate hope that life would eventually stop hitting me. The first few pages were standard. Then I got to page 7. Transfer of sole ownership of property located at 445 Oak Street, Riverside, California, from the estate of Margaret Ann Harrison to Thomas Michael Harrison. Not Thomas and Sarah Harrison. Just Thomas. I read it again. Then again. Sole ownership. My hands started shaking. I kept reading. There were more documents. A quitclaim deed, already notarized with what looked like my signature, but I hadn't signed any quitclaim deed. A power of attorney document, also with my signature, also notarized, also something I'd never signed. He'd forged my signature. My little brother, who I'd sacrificed everything for, had forged my signature to steal our mother's house. I couldn't breathe. The apartment walls felt like they were closing in. I walked to the bathroom and threw up everything I'd managed to eat that day. When I came back, I called my older sister, Margaret, the responsible one, the one who'd moved to Seattle 20 years ago and only came back for major holidays. The one who Mom had always said had her life together. Sarah? Margaret's voice was thick with sleep. It's midnight. What's wrong? I told her everything. The documents, the signatures, Tommy's urgency, his lies. She was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm not surprised. What? I'm not surprised, she repeated. He asked me to co-sign a loan 3 months ago. Said it was for a business investment. I said no. He got angry. Really angry. Said I'd always been selfish, that I'd abandoned the family, that I thought I was better than everyone. Why didn't you tell me? Because you always defend him, Sarah. You always have. You've been covering for him since he was 12 years old. She wasn't wrong. I had been covering for him. When he'd stolen money from Mom's purse in high school, I'd lent him the cash to put it back before she noticed. When he'd gotten fired from 3 jobs in 2 years, I'd written him reference letters. When his girlfriend had kicked him out, I'd let him sleep on my couch for 6 months. I'd been enabling him, and now he was stealing from me. What do I do? I asked. You call a lawyer. A real lawyer. Not whatever fake one Tommy's been talking to, and then you decide if you want to press charges. He's our brother. He forged your signature to steal $190,000 from you. That's not brotherly love, Sarah. That's a felony. After I hung up with Margaret, I sat in the dark for a long time. My phone buzzed, a text from Tommy. Hey, sorry about earlier. I know you're stressed. Take your time with the papers. No rush. Love you, sis. Love you, sis. I thought about all the times he'd said that. After I'd co-signed his car loan, after I'd lent him money for his business venture, after I'd covered his half of Mom's medical bills because he was between jobs. Love you, sis, but only when he needed something. The next morning, I took the documents to an attorney, not whoever Tommy had been referring to, a real estate lawyer that my friend Linda recommended. Her name was Patricia Gonzalez, and she didn't sugarcoat things. This is fraud, she said, looking at the forged signatures. Clear cut. He's attempting to steal your inheritance using fake documents. The notary stamp is probably fake too. This is multiple felonies. What are my options? You can file a police report and press charges. Or you can file a civil suit to stop the transfer and sue for damages. Or both. If I press charges, what happens to him? Forgery, fraud, and theft of this amount? He's looking at 2 to 5 years in state prison. My baby brother. In prison. I drove home in a daze. I'd spent my entire adult life protecting Tommy. From consequences, from responsibility, from reality. And this was how he repaid me. I thought about calling him, confronting him, giving him a chance to explain. But I knew what would happen. He'd cry. He'd apologize. He'd say he was desperate, that he'd made a mistake, that he'd pay me back, and I'd believe him. Like I always did. I needed to be smarter this time. That night, Tommy called. Hey, did you finish reading the papers? Yeah, I said, keeping my voice steady. You were right. It's pretty standard. Great. So you'll sign? I have some questions for the lawyer first. What's his number? Pause. I'll have him call you. Or I can just call him directly. What's the firm name? Longer pause. Listen, Sarah, I don't think you need to bother him with questions. It's really straightforward. Then it should be easy for him to answer my questions. You know what? I'm getting really tired of your attitude. I'm trying to help you, and you're treating me like a criminal. I just want to talk to the lawyer, Tommy. Forget it. I'll handle everything myself. Clearly you don't appreciate anything I do for you. He hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling the familiar guilt wash over me. The guilt that always came when Tommy was upset with me. the guilt that had controlled me for 40 years. But underneath the guilt was something new. Anger. Real, hot, burning anger. He wasn't going to get away with this. I called Patricia back. I want to press charges. The next day, I filed a police report. The detective assigned to my case was a woman named Rosa Chen. She was younger than me, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. "This happens more than you'd think," she told me. "Elder financial abuse by family members. It's one of the most underreported crimes because victims don't want to get their relatives in trouble." "I'm not that old," I said. "I'm 58. She smiled. "You're old enough for him to target. Let me guess. You've been the responsible one, the caretaker, the one who always helps out." I nodded. "And he's been the charming one, the one who always needs just one more chance." "How did you know?" "Because I've seen this story 100 times. Different families, same pattern." She leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. We're going to investigate. We'll verify the forgery, check if the notary stamp is real, see if he's filed any of these documents yet. Then we'll present the case to the DA. If they decide to prosecute, he'll be arrested and charged." "How long does that take?" "Could be weeks. Could be months. These things move slow. What do I do in the meantime?" "Act normal. Don't confront him. Don't let him know you're on to him. Let him think you're going along with his plan." So that's what I did. When Tommy called asking about the papers again, I told him I'd sign them soon. When he invited me to dinner, I went. I sat across from him at Chili's and watched him order the most expensive thing on the menu and talk about his new girlfriend and his new apartment and his new car. All things he couldn't afford on his supposed salary. "Business is really picking up," he said, cutting into his steak. "I'm thinking about expanding, maybe opening a second location." He'd never told me what business he was in. I'd asked a few times over the years, and he'd always been vague. "Consulting," he'd say, or "import-export," or "business development." "That's great, Tommy," I said. "What kind of expansion?" "Oh, different markets, new opportunities." He waved his hand dismissively. "Boring business stuff. How's work? Still saving lives?" "Still trying." "You work too hard, sis. You should retire. Enjoy life a little." "I can't afford to retire." "Sure you can. Once we sell Mom's house, you'll have enough to take a few years off. Travel, relax. You've earned it." He smiled at me. That same smile. That same lie. "Yeah," I said. "Once we sell the house." 3 weeks later, Detective Chen called me. "We've got him. He filed the fraudulent deed last Tuesday. The notary stamp was fake. We've confirmed the signatures were forged. The DA is ready to issue an arrest warrant." My hands went numb. "When?" "Whenever you're ready. But I have a suggestion." "What?" "You said he keeps asking you to dinner, right? Keeps trying to get you to sign more papers?" "Yeah." "Invite him over. Make it somewhere public. Let him think everything's fine. We'll be there." It felt like a betrayal. Setting up my own brother. But then I remembered the forged signatures. The lies. The 40 years of manipulation. "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." I texted Tommy that night. "Hey, I'm sorry I've been weird about the house stuff. You're right. I'm overthinking it. Want to grab dinner Saturday? My treat." He responded immediately. "Sounds great. How about that Italian place you love?" Matteo's. The restaurant where Mom used to take us for special occasions, where we'd celebrated my nursing school graduation, where Tommy had brought his prom date, where we'd had Mom's 70th birthday dinner. "Perfect," I texted back. Saturday arrived. I spent the morning in a daze. I put on my favorite dress, the blue one Mom had bought me for Christmas 5 years ago. I did my makeup. I looked in the mirror and saw my mother's eyes staring back at me. She would have been heartbroken. But she also would have understood. I got to Matteo's early. Detective Chen was already there, sitting at a table in the corner with another detective. They were dressed like normal diners. You wouldn't know they were cops unless you knew. Tommy arrived 15 minutes late. He was wearing a new suit. Expensive. More expensive than anything he should have been able to afford. "You look nice," he said, kissing my cheek. "Thanks. So do you." "New suit?" "Oh, this old thing?" He laughed. "Yeah, had to dress up for a client meeting last week. Figured I'd get some more use out of it." We ordered. He got the lobster ravioli. I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots. So, he said, twirling pasta on his fork, I've been thinking, instead of selling Mom's house, what if I bought you out? I could give you your half in cash, keep the house. I've always loved that place. Lots of memories. You want to buy me out? Yeah, I've got the money. Business is good. I could cut you a check next week. For 195. Well, maybe more like $150,000. You know, factor in repairs, market conditions, closing costs will save. He was still trying to cheat me. Even now, even knowing I'd seen the paperwork, he thought he could still talk me into it. Tommy, I said quietly, I know what you did. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. What? The forged signatures, the fake notary, the deed you filed. I know everything. His face went through several emotions in quick succession. Surprise, panic, then anger. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You're being paranoid. I would never. I filed a police report 3 weeks ago. He went pale. You what? I reported you for fraud and forgery. They've been investigating. They know everything. He stood up, his chair scraped against the floor. You're lying. You're trying to scare me. I'm not lying. You wouldn't do that. I'm your brother. You wouldn't send me to jail. You stole from me, Tommy. You forged my signature to steal our mother's house. I needed the money. I've got debts. I've got people after me. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to ask for help, not steal from me. Oh, please. You would have said no. You always say no now. Ever since Mom got sick, you've been different, cold. I've been tired. I've been broke from paying her medical bills while you were too busy to help. I was working. No, you weren't. You haven't held a real job in 5 years. I know because Margaret told me. She hired a private investigator after you asked her for money. His face twisted. Margaret. Of course. The perfect one. The one who abandoned us. She didn't abandon anyone. She just set boundaries. Something I should have done years ago. He leaned across the table. His voice dropped to a hiss. If you press charges, you'll never see me again. I've already pressed charges. 3 weeks ago. Then unpess them. Drop it. I'll pay you back. I swear. How? You don't have any money. You never had any money. You were going to steal my inheritance and disappear. I wasn't. Tommy Harrison? Detective Chen appeared at our table, badge in hand. I'm Detective Chen with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. You're under arrest for forgery, fraud, and attempted theft. The restaurant went quiet. Everyone stared. Tommy looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time in maybe ever, there was no charm in his expression, no boyish smile, just rage. You're really doing this, he said. You really did it first, I replied. They read him his rights, put handcuffs on him, let him out of Mateo's while other diners watched and whispered. I sat there alone, staring at his half-eaten lobster ravioli and started to cry. Not because I felt guilty, but because I felt relieved. The case moved quickly after that. The evidence was overwhelming. Forged signatures, fake notary stamp, filed fraudulent deed. His public defender advised him to take a plea deal. He got 18 months in county jail, 3 years probation, and was ordered to pay restitution. Though I knew I'd never see that money, he didn't have it. Margaret flew down for the sentencing. We sat together in the courtroom, watching our baby brother in an orange jumpsuit. You did the right thing, she whispered. I didn't feel like I'd done the right thing. I felt like I'd failed, like I should have protected him better, raised him better, seen this coming. He made his choices, Margaret said, reading my mind. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Tommy looked back at us once before they led him away. I waited for the hate in his eyes. But there wasn't any. Just emptiness. That was 6 months ago. I kept the house. Mom's house. I didn't sell it. I moved in instead. My apartment lease was up, and somehow being in that house, surrounded by her things, made me feel less alone. Tommy writes me sometimes. From jail. Short letters. Not quite apologies, but getting closer. He's in a program for addiction. He admitted he'd been gambling. Had been for years. That's where all the money went. That's why he was always broke, always desperate. I write him back. Short letters. Not quite forgiveness, but getting closer. Margaret comes to visit more now. She's thinking about moving back to California. Someone needs to keep an eye on you, she says. But I think she's lonely too. I think we're all just trying to figure out how to be a family again. Last week, I got a letter from Tommy that was different. Longer. More honest. I'm sorry, he wrote. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for taking advantage of you. I'm sorry for the lies. I'm sorry for becoming someone Mom wouldn't recognize. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I forgive myself. But I want you to know that pressing charges was the best thing you ever did for me. It forced me to face what I'd become. I'm getting help. Real help. For the first time in my life, I'm being honest with myself. Thank you for loving me enough to let me hit bottom. I know that couldn't have been easy. I folded the letter and put it in the drawer with the others. Then I walked into Mom's backyard and sat in her favorite chair, the one that faces the orange tree she planted 30 years ago. The tree is blooming. The whole yard smells like oranges and hope. I don't know if Tommy will stay clean. I don't know if we'll ever have the relationship we used to have. I don't even know if that relationship was real or just me pretending everything was okay. But I know this. I chose myself. For the first time in 40 years, I chose myself over his feelings, over his excuses, over his charm. And sitting here in Mom's chair, smelling her orange tree, I think she'd be proud of that. Sometimes, loving someone means letting them face consequences. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say no. Sometimes saving someone means not saving them at all. I learned that at 58 years old. Better late than never. The house is mine now. Really mine. And so is my life.